Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back with you guys for another episode of Homesteads and Homeschools. If that's not what you intended to listen to, that is what you are listening to, and I welcome you. I welcome you aboard to this fine show I have going on here. I am your host, the Liberty Hippie, here with you for another week, another show. We're talking about homeschooling today, and today's episode number 65, which means that you can find the show notes at homesteadsandhomeschools.com/065. A couple of things before we get going here. If you want to support the show, you can do so by going to Patreon, patreon.com/thelibertyhippie, and you can do that there. Got some seeds for you, some merchandise, stickers, a little bit of bonus content here and there. I'm really going to try to step up the bonus content. So, some extra tidbits, extra little interviews here and there. I will try to upload for you all to enjoy. If you don't really want to get into the Patreon thing, because, money's tight. I get it. It's a tough time right now. You're probably still buying things on Amazon. Go to homesteadsandhomeschools.com/Amazon. And I have an affiliate link there that will take you over to Amazon. And for the next 24 hours, things that you buy, I will get a little kickback from. It's not much. It's less than 10%. Usually it's like 8 to 3%, somewhere in there. But, it doesn't seem like much, but it does help offset some of the costs incurred by running this thing. Pay for my time a little bit too, eventually, maybe someday. Anyway, I think that's all for now. Go check out the Discord server that we have here going on. It's picking up some volume. Check it out. There's lots of good conversation there. Some real knowledgeable guys in that group that are more than willing to help out and to give you advice and pointers. And it's really, really nice. It's a nice thing to have. So check that out. You can do that by getting at me on Twitter at HS&HSPod. You can send me an email, homesteadsandhomeschools@gmail.com. And that'll do it. So on to the show. My guest today is Miss Julie Borowski. Some of you out there know her. She's an author. She has a younger child who's not quite school age yet, but, we talked about homeschooling, and we talked about, what is going on right now in the world, and is what we're seeing homeschooling? What are some of the things going on there? So stay tuned, check it out. Let's go plant those liberty seeds with my guest, Miss Julie Borowski. My guest today is Miss Julie Borowski. You may know her from a couple different places over there on Facebook, Twitter, putting all sorts of things out. And you find her on YouTube, the Libertarian Token Girl. And of course, she's written a book that talk about a little bit at the end. Nobody knows how to make a pizza. So Julie, thank you for coming on today. Appreciate you taking your time out and chatting.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So, going back to your childhood, what was your education growing up? Were you a homeschool kid, or did you go to public school, or?
No, I went to public school, but I had a stay-at-home mom for the first couple years of my life, and my mom and my dad were very involved in my education, which I think helped a lot. So no, I was not homeschooled. A lot of people assume I was, but no, I was a typical public school K through 12 kid.
Good deal. Did you enjoy it, or was it? Do you remember any of it?
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. I wish I had more time to kind of pursue things I was interested in. There was some classes I liked. I really liked creative writing classes and art classes, that type of thing. But I could do without some classes. So I would say I didn't enjoy it overall. That's why I kind of want to do things a little bit different with my kids, but I guess we'll get into that.
Did you, were you able to pursue some of those topics, some of those specialties when you got to college?
Well, I majored in political science in college. As you probably could tell I really like politics and arguing about politics. So I was able to pursue that. I actually really enjoyed college. It's like one of the best years of my life. So I really like politics and learning about it and arguing with people. So yeah, I wish I could do more of that, political science, history, that type of thing in high school and middle school instead of, not that math and science are important, they are important, but I mean, like, calculus and whatever is something I do not use in my everyday life. Some people need calculus, but I don't. So I wish I was able to kind of pursue things that I wanted to pursue earlier instead of going to these classes that I will never use in my life.
Yeah, yeah. There's a fair bit of that. I never was going to be an artist, so
Yeah.
taking art 3D was just big waste of time. But, so you have a kid, not quite school age yet, as far as legal definitions, I suppose. But you guys you've made the decision to homeschool, I guess. Is that
And I don't know yet. I mean, he's only 2, so it's something we kinda need to talk about as a family. I'm not the only one making
right?
that
Right, yeah.
decision, of course, but, I guess I'm kind of homeschooling him now. I'm a stay-at-home mom. It was really important to me to be there for his first few years, at least, of his life as an influence, but I think we do kind of homeschool here a bit. We're learning about the colors and numbers and that type of thing right now, so I am doing education for him.
Yeah, it's impressive. Like I feel like we're just kind of stuck in this paradigm of like you ship your kid off at the age of 5 and that's when school starts. And maybe there's some preschools out there you send your kid to, but just being able to have a parent home with your kids is just massive. Think of all the things that you're able to give your son that you wouldn't if you were, out there making money so you could have a whatever. It's an interesting thing to think about. So what have you been doing? Have you been like using anything, or are you just kind of spending time with them and going over stuff? Like how does that work for when your age, or your kid's age rather?
We're not really using anything. It's just kind of our day to day. Right now with the quarantine, it's a little bit hard, but we do like to go out and do stuff and socialize with other kids and go to places. It's not like me flashcard numbers and colors like, oh, this is blue, this is yellow, and then he loves colors and just saying all the colors and we're working on numbers, but it's not me like sitting him down being like this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Like he likes to count things around him. So we're trying to make learning fun and not just something that's a pain. Because I feel like, growing up when I went to school, I felt like reading books was a chore. Like, oh, that's something you do at school, right? But like reading books, it's not just for in school. You could do it as a fun activity. So I'm trying to make learning fun and just not be something that he hates. If he loves learning, then I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to. If you can encourage that in your children, get them to appreciate learning for kind of the sake of learning and finding things that they appreciate and get them to learn on that, it's just they're miles ahead of, and then being forced to do things they can't stand. But I don't know. So are you looking at that decision? I know you guys got 3 years, 2 years,
Mhm.
somewhere in there. So what are some things you guys think might come up to discuss? What are some of those issues that you might say, well, maybe we're going to send them to public school or private school or whatever, or any that?
Well, private school versus homeschooling, the issue is money. A lot of
Yeah.
private schools are very expensive, and we try to have a very modest life. Since I am a stay-at-home mom, I do make a little bit money selling books and merchandise, but it's not a
Right.
large amount, okay, people. So we try to live a modest life. And private school is very expensive. So, what type of private school to send to? There's religious ones. I've noticed that most of them seem to be religious, but there's some Montessori schools, which I think is an interesting concept I'm looking more into. Um, Whether to homeschool or public school, um, there's some family members who kind of have misconceptions about what homeschooling is and about homeschooling kids. And there's the whole socialization aspect, which I think is kind of overblown because I mean, there's so many sports and clubs, and I know there's homeschooling co-ops, and there's so many opportunities for socialization there. I think, I've heard some people say, well, homeschooling kids tend to be kind of weird. But, I think that's also kind of my generation. I'm 31, where homeschooling wasn't that common. Now that I think it's becoming more common, there's more kids who are homeschooled, so there's more chances to get them socialized in the community. Whereas probably when I was growing up, there wasn't that much. So I think homeschooling kids are probably more isolated in my generation than they are today. And yeah, isolation is a bad problem because these kids are going to have to go to society. They're probably going to have jobs and interact with people, so they need to, not be weird. But I think that is kind of overblown. But I think
Yeah.
we're just, what is homeschooling going to look like, and to make sure that he gets everything he needs to be successful and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I, I think when you look at public school, I don't know the numbers, but I'm willing to bet there's just as many weird public school kids as,
I'm one
as
of
like
them,
homeschool
yeah.
kids. I know, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking myself right here. Well, but it's true. When you look at, I don't know how old I'm, 36, 37. You look at what homeschool looked like when I was a kid growing up, and it's the same thing, like those outlets weren't necessarily there. They might have been there, but they weren't front and center. And with the advent of social media, what it is, and the connectedness, it's easy to find people in your community that are doing the same things you're doing, that you're able to find people, or a co-op, or some program at the library that you may have missed because, whatever reason. And now it's there. You can find it. It's easy to do. And the whole socialization thing, I think, is kind of going away a little bit,
Mhm.
and that's I hope anyway that it seems like it's a little more accepted now, homeschooling, and we'll see how it goes though, because all these people being forced to quarantine now are in a sense homeschooling, and it's been a very curious thing to watch on social media, and I know you've seen parts of it. But it's one of those things in the beginning, right? Like everybody started homeschooling. And I was kind of pleased to see that, right? I was thinking that people would get a taste of this and they'd see that, like, I can do this and it's a good thing, and let's pile it on. But I know we're kind of seeing that might not necessarily be true for everyone. I know you posted something about some of the differences between homeschooling, right, and what is happening now. That I think just kind of it was very interesting, right? I forget exactly what you said, but do you recall?
Yeah, basically, this is not normal homeschooling. This is not normal being a stay-at-home parent. My typical day, not in quarantine, I'm out socializing with people, interacting, going to the library, to stores, to, he goes to like a nature preschool. So he's interacting with people. We're not just stuck at home all the time. I've seen all these memes from moms like, oh, I need wine to, survive this. But this is like very unusual. And also we have the stress of the situation, which is not helping anyone. Kids are getting restless inside. They want to go outside. They want to see their friends. They want to go to the playground. You can do all of that being a stay-at-home parent. So this is not like, oh, this is what homeschooling is. Oh, I could never be a stay-at-home parent. How do you do this? Well, it's really not that hard. I mean, there is some challenges being a stay-at-home parent, but it's not like this normally. And you said social media, like Facebook is huge for me, compared to my mom, who was a stay-at-home mom in the early 90s, late 80s. It was a very isolated thing. You could get very lonely because you didn't know where all these, events were. And now there's so many like moms clubs and Facebook groups, but state and county moms groups where you can go and see these events and you can go to them and meet other people. There's a app for moms. It's kind of like Tinder for moms where you could say, hey, let's meet up. We have similar age kids. Let's go do something. So it's so much better with social media, and it's so much better when you're not in lockdown in the house.
Yeah, I did not know that there's an app for that. I'll have to see if there's one for dudes, because I just being a stay-at-home dad is always kind of strange, going to these events with a bunch of moms, and I was one of like two dads, and you're like, hi, but yeah. So I'm curious, how's this whole quarantine lockdown thing affected you and your routine?
Oh, yeah, everything's canceled. So, we're just mostly in the house, which stinks because we like to go out and do stuff. Yeah.
Are you able to get out at all? Like, is in an urban area, or kind of?
We've been going outside. I know it's really important to go outside for health and mental wellness. So we've been going on walks and stuff. But it's not the same.
Yeah. How have you been? Has your son expressed any curiosity as to why, or how have you guys been handling that?
He's, he's not very vocal about it. But I think he's probably like confused, like, why are we in the house all day? And, I try not to do the TV, but
yeah,
at this point, it's kind of like you just have to kind of give in, like, okay, this is a temporary thing. We're trying to do what works for us here, and kind of give yourself some grace a little bit. So it's hard.
Yeah. I for sure. We have 4, and the youngest one is 3.5, and has a little behind developmentally, I think. But he kind of, he goes to preschool 2 days a week, and with that canceled, he's just really bored, and it makes things so hard because he doesn't understand. Like, there's no concept of anything. He's just like, okay, my routine is totally changed now. What's going on? And,
yeah.
But at least we have the luxury of being able to get outside and do that sort of stuff. So that's a positive thing. So kind of curious, you have a book out there. Nobody knows how to make pizza. When did that come out? December? How long has it been out?
It came out in September.
September. Okay. All right. And how long did it, was that process?
It took months to I knew I wanted to write a children's book, but I was trying to think about, okay, I want to write this children's book, but I want to talk about economics, but I don't want it to be preachy. I don't want to write a propaganda book for kids about libertarianism. Like, I don't want to do that, but I do want to teach kids about economics, right? I mean, that's something they should be learning about anyway. So how do I do this in a fun way that's engaging, that kids are going to like? And one of my favorite essays is I Pencil by Leonard Reed. It talks about how amazing pencils are because no one person knows how to make them. It takes millions of people, and they all have specialized skills and experiences and knowledge. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That's something kids can understand. It's very simple, but pencils are kind of a boring thing. What do kids like? And most kids love pizza. Like, when they see a pizza on a cover, they'll be like, "Oh, fun." So I was like, okay, well, let's change the iPencil and make it about iPizza. Well, iPizza kind of sounds weird. What does that mean? So I wanted to say, oh, nobody knows how to make a pizza. Kind of intriguing. What do you mean? Like, chefs know how to make a pizza, right? Like, it's simple. But so I kind of did that, and it teaches kids about economics, about division of labor and spontaneous order, and all those kind of good economic terms in a very simple and fun way. And I've gotten a really good response. People say their kids like it. It's about pizza. Oh, let's read the pizza book, mom and dad. So yeah, it's been really good.
Good deal. Yeah. It's being able to have have a tool to introduce some of those topics it's helpful. It's useful. I can sit and talk to my 10-year-old about this stuff all the time. And sometimes he latches on and sometimes he's just like, Dad, enough. Like,
Hmm.
I'm bored. And I'm like, but I have nobody else to talk to. But it's, I had put this, in that category with like the Tuttle twins and stuff, that these are some of the books that like, I really, you really got to get them in kids' hands because they enjoy them, and it's useful information. It's stuff that will be with them and get them to think. But do you think you'll do another one?
Yeah, I'm starting to think of ideas right now in my head. Okay, how do I make it funny? How do I make it enjoyable and educational at the same time? So that's always kind of a challenge and something I've tried to do with my videos as well, trying to make the perfect balance, which is tough, but I'm thinking of it.
All right, all right. And you use your son as like a guinea pig, I suppose, to some degree.
To some degree, I mean, it, I had to hide all my books because he was like ripping out the pages and eating them. So, yeah, hopefully as he gets a little bit older, he could be more vocal about what he likes instead of just eating the pages.
Hey, my oldest son when he was little just destroyed books. He just like would chew on them and rip them apart, and like he loves books, but like my daughter just was always so gentle. It's different kids do different things. It's amazing. But
Yeah, I've been so surprised. Like before I had kids, I really didn't know that much about babies, and I kind of thought all babies are basically the same. And now I realize just how different all babies are and just how their personality starts so young. And I've been just so amazed by that.
yeah, it's really the children are an amazing thing when you have them. Before you have them, I was definitely like, I don't want kids. Maybe one. Okay, now 10 years later, there's 4 of them running around. But yeah, So I don't know, where can people go to find you? I know you're all over there on the internets.
Yeah, I'm on social media on Facebook and Twitter, Julie Borowski. I'm on Instagram, it's Julie Borowski, but there's an underscore because some other Julie Borowski took my name. And then YouTube also is Julie Borowski. So basically, you can just Google my name and something will show up.
Something about there. So what do you got going on the YouTube? I know you got a couple things. That was not a so. I guess Julie Borowski. Okay, because I know on YouTube it's the Token Libertarian Girl. Do you have another channel, or is that just
No, it's the same channel. You could either do it's like both links work. So it's pretty cool.
gotcha? All right, and you got tons of content on there. What is that all about?
So I've been doing YouTube videos since 2011. I've kind of haven't been doing them much lately with the whole motherhood thing that takes some time, but I've also gotten really big into designing stuff. I have a merchandise website. It's called libertyjunkies.com. I sell t-shirts and stuff. It's just kind of a creative outlet. And I realize I need something. Being a stay-at-home parent, it's great, it's wonderful, but I also want to like create stuff. So I like to create designs. I'm selling masks right now, which are a really big, big seller. So kind of libertarian themed mask. I have like the Guy Fawkes mask, like "Don't cough on me," all kinds of silly stuff. But hopefully they kind of work to protect us right now. But so I've been doing that. YouTube videos. It's kind of like I don't know. Since becoming a mother, I probably changed. Like I don't want to be a divisive, polarizing person, and I realized that videos where you are polarizing get more views, and so it's kind of like how I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to actually like make a positive change in the world, and it's kind of like so much stuff is just, especially with Trump being president, people either like love or hate him, and it's I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to like make content that make a difference, I suppose, in people's lives. And I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards children's books because I want to kind of be educational and do something good instead of just flinging poop at people all the time.
Yeah, I hear you. It's social media is a very interesting thing. It can go either way, but you want to get all those likes and everything. Being divisive is one way to do it. Slinging is another way. But it's curious when you have kids how perspectives change a bit. I don't know. But all right, so I don't know any thoughts. People thinking about that are stuck at home now, how to break things up, or people thinking about maybe homeschooling or coming upon that decision. Any thoughts?
I would say this is not typical. Like I said, I'm just hanging there, trying to do something productive. I've started trying to do some gardening. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, you know, you can't control the situation. I'm somebody who has really bad anxiety, so I'm trying to learn just it is what it is. Try to make the best of your time.
Yeah. What are you doing for gardening?
We are doing some carrots, cucumbers, spinach. I got a bunch of seeds from the store. We just made like a raised garden, so we're experimenting and seeing what happens.
Have you guys gardened at all before or grown anything before?
I did when I was a kid. I helped my parents with their gardening, but I don't know if that really counts.
Hey, so get a little bit of background there, I guess. Get the kid out there digging in the dirt. That's always fun. It's tough though. They don't realize like that there's seeds in the ground, and they just like my little one will just like walk through. I'm like, dude, there's sticks right there. Please don't walk there. And it's just chomp 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 chomp. Like man. But all right. Well, I wish you luck with the garden and with your future endeavors there. And thanks for coming on.
Great, thank you.
All right, that was Julie. I hope you enjoyed that. Go check out Liberty Junkies. She's got some sweet merchandise over there, some funny shirts and stuff. And if you have a young child, I recommend her book. Go check it out. Go pick it up. It works good for those younger ages and can kind of help you to convey some of those messages that need conveying. So go do that. It was a shorter episode today, so I'm going to ramble a little bit because I want to add some things. If you are a parent that got here, because you are kind of new to homeschooling, you're being forced to homeschool by way of this whole quarantine shutdown thing, or if you know somebody that is doing that, send them this. Go share this little pod with them. But Julie and I talked about it a little bit, but I kind of want to get into it. There's a huge difference right now between actual homeschooling, parents that have been homeschooling for the year or however long, versus a lot of what you are seeing come out of this sort of home education that's going on. And it's multifaceted. Your homeschool parents that are doing this of their own volition they've bought in. They are aware of different curriculums. They're aware of different methodologies of schooling your children. They have a plan. They have a goal. They have an idea of where they want to get to, and they're moving toward that. When you were told to stay home from work, that you will no longer be able to come to work, that your school is being shut down and your children are going to be with you now 24/7, let's face it, you're not invested in that education program. You may have been paying attention when homework got sent home. You may have been to some conferences. You may have seen some of their work and stuff. But when it comes down to it, your knowledge of what was actually happening in the classroom is slim to none, almost non-existent. When you really distill it down, you don't know. You don't know a lot of what happens in the classroom. With that in mind, trying to replicate what the teacher sent home is going to be near impossible. As a teacher, you can implement someone else's lesson plan, but in order to get real buy-in from the students, you're going to need to adapt that lesson plan to your personality, to your strengths. You're going to need to avoid your weaknesses, so just taking something from one side and moving it to another is not going to work. You have to mash it up, mix it up, and change it into something that is yours. Parents that are getting work from the school are not doing that, right? There's very little of that going on. On top of that, a lot of what's coming home from schools is it's busy work. It's busy work. And now there's a lot of that going on in the classroom anyway, right? Worksheets that you do. Hey, when you get done with this board work, go do this worksheet, and then put your head down on the table, or whatever it is that the teacher tells the student to do. So the teacher sends home busy work because, let's face it, they can't send home a lecture, right? If they had something planned that needs 20 kids to do, they can't send that home. So they have to send home busy work. Busy work sucks. Busy work is boring. A lot of students hate busy work because that's just it. It's just busy work. It's just something to occupy my time and make me look like I'm doing something. And I think the smarter your kids are, the more they will rebel against that busy work. They won't do it because they know they're onto it. They're aware that this is just a joke. I've already mastered this, and this is just something I don't need to do. But so it's kind of there to keep in mind, to remember that if you are homeschooling under duress because the state has essentially made you, and you're hating it, and your children are hating it, bear in mind that it's not really homeschooling. It's not genuinely something that people would look at and call homeschooling. It's a little bit different. It's more of a home education program where you're just, taking something from one entity and trying to make it fit your child. I do think it's a great tool to actually see how the public school works, because that is essentially what you are doing. You're taking the public school education, the public school model, public school curriculum, and trying to force your child into that mold. And more often than not, it doesn't work. And as a parent, you get to change those things. You get to mold the curriculum, the ideas, the messages you want to convey. You get to mold them to your child because you can. The teacher in a classroom doesn't get to do that. And I hope that the parents are seeing that, are waking up to that, and are recognizing that this is what's going on. So if you're trying it out and you're hating it, change it up a little bit. Try some things, try to do something a little different. It'll be okay. It'll be okay next year when your kid goes back to school and they didn't get through all the math worksheets. It'll be okay. It'll be all right. I guarantee you. I mean, that's all a little bit longer, but something I'd been thinking about for a while now. So there it is. Anyway, guys, come back next week. I will have another show. And remember, get out there. Sow those seeds of liberty. We can all reap sheaves of freedom together.